What's up, Schmac Talk? Welcome back to another episode. Um, this one's probably going to be a short one, maybe, possibly. The
We'll
second
see.
topic might turn into a debate, or a rabbit hole. We'll see. But first, I think we should just kick it off and say, I don't want to say congrats, but I mean,
No, I'm not saying congrats. No, screw
Michigan
that.
won the national championship, and actually kind of a surprising score. 34-13, I believe.
Yeah, they ran away with it in the fourth quarter.
Or yeah, 34-13. Um,
Did you watch all of the game?
I honestly didn't watch a peep of it.
I did. I watched the entire game.
How was
Actually, I
it?
shouldn't say that. I stopped in the fourth quarter when Washington threw a pick that got ran back all the way to the 5 yard line. So I stopped on that. My synopsis of the game, my little breakdown of it is the better team won. I mean, we've said all year Michigan is good. And again, we were not surprised by Michigan beating Ohio State. The whole thing that we've been talking about is should they have even been able to get there
Yeah,
because of all the controversy? And we'll get to that. Um, but no, I'm not shocked that Michigan won. Obviously, I was rooting for Washington, as
yeah,
most Ohio State fans were. Um, but it came down to the better team won. It
yeah,
wasn't anything shocking. Now Michigan got off to a 14-0 start when they had huge runs in the first quarter. They had over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter. I mean, let me look at the little stats, but I believe at one point when they showed the um the comparison late in the game, it was yeah, rushing yards. Here you go. 303 rushing yards to 46. I mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah.
It was. I mean, they both had
All right, I gotta see.
equal. Dude,
Close to
it was
that.
stupid.
Oh my gosh.
It was stupid. And
Two
like you
running
look at
backs
yards per
running
play.
for over 100 yards.
Yeah,
And
two running
then
backs, two running backs
what?
over 100.
Oh, JJ for 31, and then Gail Mullings for 21, and then Orgy
Yes,
for
yes,
fifteen.
Alex Orgy. Yep, and he's athletic as heck. And the whole thing was Washington had chances. Like Washington's defense in the first quarter struggled, and then they really stepped up. I was very impressed with Washington's defense. They kept them in the game. Washington's offense, time and time again. I mean, they came out first play after halftime, they threw a pick. And the reality was, it was a terribly thrown ball. Michael Penix Jr. should not have done it. He was getting hit as he was letting go. He should have just taken the sack because he was forcing something. Ball gets floated up in the air. The Michigan guy caught it right in midair. He goes up, catches it, and the Washington receiver knocked it out of his hands. And as they're falling back to the ground, he re-caught it in bounds.
Oh
So
my,
it was just an amazing play. It was an amazing play on the receiver to straight up knock it out of his hands. And it
yeah,
was an amazing play on the DB to then catch it again. And so the offense kept making mistake after mistake after mistake. Michael Penix Jr. missed wide open guys. And we were talking their star receiver burnt the nickelback and was wide open on a post, and he overthrew him by 5 yards. I mean, it was just missed opportunities time and time again where I felt like at the end of the game, and this is what we said Michigan does. They they ground and pound until you finally break. Right? They keep going at you and going at you and going at you until you finally are so worn down, you just give up. You're done. And that's what happened. The defense finally broke in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
It was a good game. Now, it was a boring game. Don't get me wrong. It was a boring game because you're talking about a very methodical offense in Michigan and their stifling defense slowing Washington down. And it was a lot of punts, but it was a good game for three quarters. And then the fourth quarter hit, and Washington's defense just had too much. I mean, they
yeah.
they dealt with too much and they just got worn down. And I think again, it comes back to Michigan was the better team and they just won. It wasn't like they utterly embarrassed Washington. It wasn't like that. it was really just Washington ran out of steam.
Yeah, I honestly I would say I summed it up very well right there. I mean, I didn't watch it, so
Now I will say
I did see some of
impressive.
the highlights and stuff.
Yeah, the running backs though that we've now known for 3 years, because Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards has just they've gashed the Buckeyes for
Yeah,
3 years, so we've known they're good. I mean, as a football fan, I was happy to see both of them have an amazing game, right? But it really was just Donovan Edwards had two huge runs in the first quarter, and that gave Michigan the spark that they needed just to hold on to the rest of the game. So JJ McCarthy, I mean, 10 for 18, 140 yards. He was nothing impressive by any means. His
JJ
scrambling,
not being impressive.
I know, right? It's crazy, but his scrambling kept them alive a couple of drives. I saw a lot of things where they I don't want to bring in the refs to say, "Oh, it's an excuse," because at the end of the day, I think Michigan would have won by like even if it wasn't with the refs, it would have won by like 3, right? They would have won. Um, but I will say it appeared that almost every single play for Michigan on offense, they were pretty much tearing the jerseys off of the Washington front seven. I mean, there are you can look it up. You can just Google it, where the number 91, his number on the front of him is now on the side of him because his jersey is getting pulled so much. And two of those instances that I mean, they were never called. Like they weren't. They weren't. I don't think Michigan was called for one holding penalty. They were called for 5 penalties, and not one of them was a holding penalty. So they got
Oh,
away with a lot, and two of them were when Alex Orji went on a run and it extended a drive. It was a blatant hold that they didn't call. And then when JJ McCarthy threw it right before getting sacked over the middle to Loveland, their tight end, and he scampered in the fourth quarter for like 35 yards, and that set up another touchdown, which then basically put it out of reach. And that was on a third down. So it was like if he gets sacked, they have to punt, and it was a clear as day hold. And I will say it was very frustrating watching the Michigan DBs get away with everything. They got called for one defensive holding and one pass interference. And when they showed the replay of like, oh, this was the scheme, they were trying to do this, the Washington receivers were getting tackled. And this is nothing new for us because we know as Ohio State fans and Big Ten fans, Michigan leads and has led for like the last 3 years, leads the Big Ten in pass interference penalties. Like their coaches have admitted they teach
plays
them.
lead in penalties in general. Who?
I don't know that. I
I
do
thought
know
they
for a fact
did.
that is that pass interference and defensive holding, they're at least in the top three. And I believe pass interference is first because their their coaches basically admitted what we teach them is illegal. Like what we teach them is by rule illegal. And so it was really frustrating to be like, oh, you're letting them get away on both sides. Like if you let them get away on one side, whatever. But because it was also Washington, this was before Washington went down by multiple scores. Uh, there was a there's a third down, and I think it was a third down, but Michael Penix Jr. finally connected to their top receiver, and it was a gain of like 25 yards, right? And so it put them like, okay, we're driving again, we got a chance, we can tie this up. And they called a holding penalty on Washington. And what had happened was the right tackle got off the line late, so he got beat, and he went to grab the guy in the middle of the jersey, and his hand honestly missed, like he just slipped off, and he just smacked him on the back, and the Michigan guy fell down. Like he literally just smacked him on the back, and the Michigan guy just fell to the ground. And then Michael Penix Jr. got it off, and they called it a holding penalty. And I was like, I don't know what that was, but it wasn't holding. Like I'm not even sure if technically it was a block in the back because he literally just smacked him. He just smacked him in the back, and the dude fell down. And so I was
Refs
like,
are
I
just saying
don't
they're like, dude, wait, what was that?
like,
I don't know, but dude, I think it's illegal, bro. Are you sure
like
this is illegal? Because like, I feel
Like
like he just kind of smacked it, you know?
I was confused. I was like, I don't even know if this constitutes as a block in the back. It's not a holding penalty, but they call it a holding penalty. Play gets,
Illegal use
you
of
know, taken back.
hands.
I, I don't
I don't.
know.
I don't
I
know.
really don't know. It was weird. But you know, it's controversial. They call it a holding penalty, and Washington gets backed up. They don't get a first down. They go for it on fourth down. They don't get it. Um, so it was frustrating. Because it felt like Michigan got away with stuff. Like that's what it felt like.
All right, hear me out. Do you think that the NCAA is like, hey, Washington, just go ahead and let them win, and you guys got it next year, all right? Or whatever. We just want our paperwork to be easy for vacating everything for the past 3 years.
Um, so I'm sure that went through some NCAA people's minds. But what's interesting is I was talking to somebody about it, and they pointed out that um technically the college football playoff is not sanctioned by the NCAA. So even if the NCAA takes away
Oh,
all the wins, they technically can't take away the Rose Bowl win and the national championship win.
it was technically like an exhibition game
I
from the
forget.
NCAA.
Yeah,
It's kind of put on by
is
ESPN.
put
I'm
on
assuming.
by somebody outside
Yeah,
with ESPN having all the rights. So I don't know if they like. I think they would like talk to the college football playoff, be like, "Hey, here's what we found. We're taking away all their win because they can take away the Big Ten championships, right? So
yeah.
they can take away because what were they like 13-0 going into the playoffs the last 3 years, and they're 15-0 this season. So they could take away 39 wins and say, actually, you were 0-39 um, for that
Good
time
luck, idiot.
period. Really, if you count the bowl losses, 0-41, and then the
You way
college
more
football
than that
playoff
now.
committee would have to decide on these two games to make it either 2-41 or 0-43.
That's just crazy to me that
Think
everything
about
that they've done for the past, what, 3 years, and it's just like basically like could be for nothing, you know?
I mean, it comes back to the whole you now have a player admitting that they all knew that they cheated.
Yeah.
And I think that's what bothers me more is that I'm sorry, but if my kid went to a program like that, got caught cheating and came home and said, "Yeah, we knew." I would
You're like, hey,
It would
buddy.
take me a lot just because of morals to be like, "Yeah, you're welcome in this house."
Yeah.
Like I would have to like it would take I would need a little bit of a space. Obviously, that would be my kid, so I would forgive them at some point. Um, but
Fuck
I would be
them.
I'd be disappointed because it's like I thought I raised you better. Like
Yeah.
you're going to this program, you know, yeah, they're one of the most
But
historic
think about it
programs, their
though.
most winningest program. You're getting a free education, but they're telling you to cheat. Like, and you don't want to transfer. Like, I have an issue with that.
Well, okay, but even if they do want to transfer, you can't just leave in like the middle of the season and say, "Hey, I'm transferring." You know.
People do it all the time. You just have to wait until the portal opens to talk to other teams.
Uh,
So, but yeah, people do it all the time. Ohio State has people leaving in the middle of the season. Like they just step
did
away.
not know that.
Yeah, people announce that they're transferring all the time.
So wait,
It's
but
just you have
doesn't
to
that
wait until the portal to actually put your name in it and talk to other teams.
so if say okay, you switch, portal opens, you change schools to talk to
Mm-hmm.
them, get your agreement and everything, and then that next year, technically you're not eligible, or you are eligible now
Yes, with the
because
new transfer policy, you get a free one-time transfer. So, you know, say I go to Ohio State and it doesn't matter what year, all right, but say after my second year, I redshirt my first year, I play my second year, and I'm like, you know what? No, I want to go somewhere else. I can transfer, and I can go to Alabama, and I can play right away because of the new pre-transfer policy. Now, some
Okay.
people are smart with this, all right, because you get a one-time free transfer. You already had a free transfer if you graduated. So if you're a grad transfer, you already have a free transfer. So a lot of people, what they're doing now is they'll be at a place for 1 or 2 years, transfer, play right away, and think about this: if you redshirt your first year, you're not using eligibility, right?
Yeah.
You don't play your second year, and now you're fed up, right? You still have 3 years of eligibility. Well, ideally, at that point, you're already halfway with your degree. You transfer somewhere, you play right away for 2 years. You have 1 more year of eligibility. If you want to go somewhere else, if you graduated and have your degree, you can transfer and play right away because you're a grad transfer. So some people are getting smart with it, and you actually get 2 free transfers if you graduate.
That's kind of cool, but like, man, I feel like you want to kind of stay with a program for
Well,
like
we
its
grew up with that
entirety.
mentality.
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
get we're going into the new wave of, you know, oh, I don't like it here. The coach made me mad today, so I'm going
or I want
why
this
not
much
Michigan
money.
or I'm
Yeah.
going to Bama, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, you know,
Yeah. So it is weird.
turning into
But
like a I want to say like a minor leagues for the NFL. I mean, that's essentially what it is,
yeah,
but it's
it really
like
is at this
no,
point.
it's like,
I
oh,
mean, they're
hey, I
getting
can
paid.
transfer wherever I want to go. I get paid,
Yeah. I mean,
you
think about it, with
know.
the free time, the one free time transfer to start with, all these people, they can ball out their sophomore year and then go, you know what? I actually want to go somewhere bigger, which is exactly what we see happening with Ole Miss's running back, right? Ole Miss's running back is a first team SEC as a sophomore, a true sophomore. And now he's going to Ohio State. He entered the transfer portal. He's coming to Ohio State. So you're seeing that,
That
like,
run game.
and no
Go.
disrespect to Ole Miss, right? Like, Ole Miss is a good program. It's just Ohio State's a bigger program. It's a more
Yeah.
national program.
Hmm.
And typically people in the NFL grade Ohio State higher than Ole Miss in terms of quality that you're getting from those players. So, for him, he's probably thinking, oh, let me go somewhere that's has this NFL tie, right? And we already have, like, we both love Vrabel. You brought him up um off like before the podcast, but
Let's
he's
go.
he's a tie to the NFL. Ohio State has ties to the NFL. So that's one example that, like, people go to him and be like, hey, like, what are they doing there? And he could be straight up and honest with them, and they're probably going to be like, okay, we want them. So you're seeing that with the transfer portal. To tie it back in the whole Michigan thing, I would just be disappointed if my hypothetical kid said, hey, I have no issue with cheating, right? And maybe it'd be different if I was a diehard Michigan fan, but I also think that if it came out that Ohio State was cheating, we'd be more of the fact of, like, why the hell did you do it, right?
Yeah.
Be more of like, what are you doing? So what'd you look up?
So just because we're kind of talking about changes of the season of players being able to, transfer where they want and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I just, was curious about our boy Ryan Day. Um,
You played at New Hampshire. Is that what you're bringing up?
oh, oh no,
Oh, oh,
I
okay,
didn't know
okay.
that. But
Yeah, he's quarterback.
I was seeing when his contract was.
What, like 9.8 mil?
Uh, yeah, annual salary of 9.5 million, up 7.5 million.
Dude,
Two contracts valid until 2028. Um, but I want to see what the
I, I don't know.
because Mike Vrabel, baby.
It's not happening.
It could happen. I think it's got a pretty good chance of possibly in the future. Maybe you see him.
He's about to get hired by another. organization.
Okay, well, he gets hired by another. Wait, who?
There's talk that he's going to go to New England. The Titans just fired him, and he just got inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Ooh,
So, I mean, I'm
very
with you.
possible.
I would
Very
love
possible.
Vrabel. I would love Vrabel, but I think it's just the timing is not. If this
Yeah,
happened next year after Michigan beats us again, if it happened next year, I would be all in on it. But because of him getting fired and Ryan Day still being on staff and now firing other people and hiring other people, it's not going to happen.
I think Ryan
I
Day
think
is it.
Fickle. I think
Fickle.
I think Fickle's more likely if we fire Ryan Day after next year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, until like 2028, I feel like we're probably not going to buy him out of his contract.
So you want to keep him for 4 more seasons?
I don't, but like
Dude, I'm saying we have to buy
that's
him. If he loses to
yeah,
Michigan again, you have to buy him out
yeah,
because I'm sorry, we're not going on an what 7 year losing streak to Michigan. I'm not
yeah.
accepting that. I will stop watching football at that point.
All right, I'm done. But I
I will.
mean, okay, think about it this way. We
No,
did
I
that.
understand where
We
you're
did
coming
the
from.
same thing to them. We did the same thing to
Yeah, you know what? And fuck them. I don't care. All right, they're pieces of shit. I would love to just give that state to Canada. All right, you already know this. You know, I'm sorry for
Oh
Michigan
my
State
gosh.
and Oakland and all these other schools in the state of Michigan, but that school has ruined the state for me. Just go ahead, give them to fucking Canada. I don't want them anymore. All right. And you know what? While we're at it, give Toledo to them too. All right. Toledo doesn't want to be in
Yeah.
Ohio, so fuck them. Get rid of them. All right. I fucking hate them. I can't. Ladies and gents, this is what living or being born and living in Ohio looks like. All right.
Yeah.
I hate the state. I associate the state with that godforsaken school. And I hate that
And
their color scheme
there's
is
so
so
much more to
iconic.
the state.
I hate it. I hate that their color scheme is so iconic and that their helmets are pretty freaking cool. All right.
Yeah, and most of the time, like, okay, I don't know if you
And
did
I
this.
love their sticker system more than ours because it's for the entire career. And I hate that I love it. I feel like I'm being a traitor. All right.
Hey, it's all right to like.
I fucking hate them.
All right, question for you. As a kid, or even now, if you have to like design something or like pick two colors out, do you always
Oh,
vote
they're good.
against blue and
Blue, like I don't want any of my things to be blue and yellow.
yes?
Yeah, I don't put those colors together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Like I
Same.
don't. Like I
Like
don't want
I
any
feel like
shade
that's
of
such a
blue.
common thing. Like, okay, granted, most of the like t-shirts I have, college and everything, are blue and gold.
Yeah, because you decided to go to a school with the same freaking colors.
But
You can't write Kent State, and
hey, still learning how to read.
it, it's a fine college. I'd be
It
fine if
is
my kids went
actually.
there.
Yeah. It's
It's not the best, but it's fine.
I mean,
Like,
it depends on what you're going for. If you're
well, it's
looking for
also if you
like,
take it serious or not. You
yeah,
know, like that's with any school. You take it
yeah,
serious, then you get your, you get stuff out of it. Like
yeah. But
you
if
become a better person. But if you're like
times,
you, no,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
just kidding.
Granted, I
No, I'm
was a
joking.
delinquent. Not that much of a delinquent.
Ladies and gents, if you had the stories that this man would call me at 2 in the morning with or text me about, oh my God. We had some very interesting conversations in college with undergrad.
Yeah. What a time.
No, but to circle back on this, all right. Talking about the national championship and my hatred for that team up north. Um, do you believe that we should treat this championship with an asterisk next to it?
I feel like you got to go yes and no. But I will say probably yes. There needs to be an asterisk there. As far as if you're gonna asterisk the rest of the games, this one definitely needs to be asterisked as well. Even if Michigan was the better team, then you still got to put the asterisk there. Hey,
Fair.
you did wrong. Here's your punishment.
And so like the no side of it is the whole you're the better team, but you
But
did this.
you did
Um,
this.
yeah, I agree with you. I think absolutely
Yeah,
it's tainted. I'm sorry. And you know what? For all the people out there, some of the ESPN individuals that I've been listening to the last couple of days were like, it's not tainted because they're the better team. Yes, but they were the better team because they cheated for 3 years.
yeah.
All right. For those
Like,
of you guys
come
that
on.
don't know, I sent you this statistic, right? For the first 6 years of Jim Harbaugh's career at the University of Michigan, he was 0-6 versus Ohio State. No bowl game, or not, sorry, bowl game, no Big Ten championship appearances, right? And had one bowl win. One, one in 6 years, right? People wanted him gone. After COVID, which resulted in a losing season, no bowl game, everything like that. All right. He has been 3-0 versus Ohio State, 3 college football playoff appearances, 3 Big Ten conference championships, and now a 15-0 national championship. You do not turn a program around that quickly.
Hey,
And
man.
now we also have all the evidence
Super
that they cheated.
vaccines.
That
Super vaccine.
they
Might
really
be
got
some TRT
vaccinated.
in there.
But I mean, we got all of the evidence that they cheated, right? We got all the evidence that they
Yeah.
cheated for the last 3 seasons, and it makes sense now. And so I think with that, yes, it's tainted. For everyone who's a Michigan fan, they will disagree with me, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. At least as of right now,
Still yours.
my team doesn't have to cheat to win a national championship. All right.
Um, wait. Oh, wait, no. That was just about selling things. I was about to say
Yeah,
Jim
and we
Tressel.
and we beat Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. So like
Yeah, but we still got sanctioned for. Or no,
yes,
we didn't
for
have any
Tattoo
issues
Gate.
with.
No, for which
Do,
one?
do we have any problems with our? We had problems with getting the bowl games after that, but none of our wins or anything like that were vacated or anything like that.
For the
That
Tattoo
wasn't.
Gate,
Yeah.
we went 0-13 for a year. And then yeah, and then the following year we went 6-7 and lost to Florida in the Gator Bowl. And we lost to Michigan that year. And then the following years when Urban Meyer took over and we were 12-0 and we did not play in the conference championship game or the national championship because we had a self-imposed bowl game ban. So yeah, we don't have to cheat to win. All right.
That's true.
So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hey, but there
But
are
I mean,
allegations that Ohio State is cheating.
yeah, whatever. They can all suck my dick. I shouldn't say that.
What? Next week, Ryan Day is fired over cheating scandal.
You know what?
It's
I'd
like,
be fine with that. I'd
I'd be
be
like,
fucking fine with
all
it.
right, bet. Hey, Mike, you
Clearly, you
still
didn't
need a
cheat good
job?
enough. Clearly, Michigan cheated better than you. Like, but I will also say this. I think part of the issue I'm having with the whole like legitimizing Michigan's national championship is not only all of the Spygate stuff, all right. And I also like it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like not cool in the fact of um Michigan against Ohio State had the flyover with a stealth bomber from the Navy, which is a spy plane.
Mhm.
Ha ha ha! Like kind of
That's pretty
funny.
sweet.
Also, like they're they're just going into it because they don't care. They're
Yeah.
assholes. They don't care. Um, it's fitting though that they won in Houston, that they won the national championship in Houston, where oh yeah, the Houston Astros cheated their way to a World Series, so that's fitting. But I
Huh?
also don't necessarily like the whole let's treat Connor Stallions as this amazing like he's at the Rose Bowl, he's at the national championship getting VIP treatment and everything. He literally cheated. Why is he even allowed there? Whatever. But I also watching the bowl the bowl season.
He's actually sitting in a seat going, just giving the plays out. He's like
He
I
never
can run in
stopped.
this.
He never
I'm,
stopped.
I'm freelance now.
I'm buying them with my own money. Oh my god, all the tickets, and he still texted. But I
Get
also have a hard
entertained for
time
everything.
believing that Michigan is truly the best team in the nation when I watch the bowl season and I watch a Georgia team that I honestly think would beat any of the four that were in there. And when I look back on that, obviously, we were joking we won in mayhem. I was half-heartedly rooting for Alabama. I was blown away when it actually happened. They lost by 3 when 2 of their star players were playing hurt. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, Florida State had a lot of opt-outs. Even with that number of
Don't matter.
opt-outs,
Okay. Okay.
like, okay, well, think about this. Wait, hold on. We can think about this, right? Georgia didn't really have a lot of opt-outs.
Mhm.
All right. Florida State had a lot of opt-outs. They still lost by a bunch. Ohio State didn't necessarily have a lot of opt-outs, but a lot of key players were out, right?
Yeah.
A lot of key players were out. Missouri didn't have anybody. And hats off to them. Missouri barely beat Ohio State. That shows you how much better Georgia is.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I can agree with that.
Like, I don't know. I'm looking
I
at
do
that and
think
I'm just,
that Georgia should have been in there instead of,
but I think Texas was the way that they put Bama
but
in.
Texas is the way that Bama got in.
But see, how
So
I'm
it's
looking at
like,
all this
but
now. How
like,
do you
wait,
drop Georgia from 1 to 6 after losing
yeah,
by 3 against 8 with their star players hurt? I think it was just a way to get Alabama in because
yeah.
I'm looking at it now and I'm like, Georgia would beat Texas. Georgia would beat Washington.
Saban
Georgia
just
would
calls in a
probably fuck
favor.
Michigan up because
He's just
Georgia
like,
plays
hey,
physical just
make
like
it
Michigan.
happen. No,
Yeah, like I'm
hit
just
us
I'm
in the natty.
confused now.
And it's like, okay,
I'm just confused now because I'm like, I really think Georgia should have been in there. And even if you wanted to make them 4, you can make them 4.
Mhm.
And I think they beat Michigan. And I think that's partially why I have a hard time accepting that. Oh yeah, you guys are actually like it. I could accept the Georgia championship last year because the best 2 teams were Ohio State and Georgia,
Yeah.
and Georgia beat Ohio State by 3, and then showed that TCU had no right to be there. I don't know. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I'm glad the 12-team playoff is happening
Yeah.
because we're
No.
actually gonna see who the most complete team is.
Yeah, and I think that that'll also bring people to stay instead of opting out for
Mm-hmm.
before going to the draft or transferring or whatever. It kind of
Yeah,
incentivizes play because it's like, hey, my resume gets so much better if I play for this. You
yeah,
know, if you even just make it to the first round, hey, I got a bowl win under my name. Or hey, I
yeah,
made it to the bowl game, lost by whatever. That still says something more than oh, I opted out. Uh, but I mean, I feel like the scenario changes. If you killed it all season and you don't want to risk the injury,
yeah. I
there's
don't know.
always that what if, but
Yeah, it'll be
I think it'll
interesting.
increase it.
We just gotta wait till next year. Hopefully, the victors don't get it done
Hail
again.
to
And
the
no,
victors.
absolutely, you're no,
That's the only words I know.
no, you are disowned from the state of Ohio.
Uh,
Goodbye.
uh, uh, uh,
See, now I gotta go throw up. Now I gotta go throw up. Friendship over. I can't believe you were in my wedding. Did you just like transition from the Michigan fight song to the Ohio State fight song at the end?
And then back to the Michigan,
Oh lordy, you
basically.
need help.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But
uh,
honestly, with everything going on at Michigan right now, do you think Harbaugh stays? much
No,
longer, or do you think
no,
he's up and out?
I think he's done. So yeah, he has shown so many times for the last 3 years. He has flirted with and interviewed with NFL organizations. Right, he
Okay.
wants to be back in the NFL. I think he's a really good coach, regardless, even if I don't like him because of
Yeah.
the institution that he played for and is coaching for. Um, but he has shown time and time again that he wants to be in the NFL, and this is just the cherry on top. Because also now this is the gray area. What he did with the whole cheating scandal is not necessarily cheating at the NFL level. So and now also at the NFL level, you don't really run into stealing signs because they have the headsets and the helmets.
Yeah.
Right? They just tell them what play to do anyway. They don't have to signal it in.
Okay.
I think
I got one thing on that. All right.
okay,
So I was watching I believe it was either a podcast or um it was in like a documentary about sports where like
okay,
quarterbacks going into from college. Actually, I think it was in quarterbacks on Netflix.
okay.
I think it was in there. They were talking about like going from college to the NFL and how
They're
there's
not prepared.
such a different change from looking over to the
Yeah,
sideline and getting your signs or looking at a
yeah,
board, seeing your thing, and then going to the NFL and they're like, all right, blah 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 blah, and they just like read off the play to them. That's what we're running, and then they just go with it.
yeah.
Like
So
I don't think that would be that drastic, right? Wouldn't that be?
it would be better because it's helping them like if your whole thing is you're trying to get them prepared for the NFL, then you do that because then also it's you get rid of this potential of someone, buying up tickets to their arch rival and other top 10 teams and trying to scout them and decipher their codes and signs and everything. I think it would benefit, like we're seeing so many quarterbacks struggle with going from college to the NFL because they're not used to that.
Yeah,
Like they have to understand the play from the signs anyway in order to know what routes guys are running, but it's not relaying it back to the team. It's them just thinking about it. And when they have to relay everything out, that's when they get confused because like, oh wait, what does this mean? What does this mean? Oh my god, what are we doing? So I think it would benefit them. I mean, Matt Rule, who's at Nebraska, and he's with the Panthers the last couple of years, came out and said quarterbacks aren't ready because we don't have that system. Now, what's interesting is um, the Las Vegas Bowl this year allowed them to use the tablet and in-helmet radio system that the NFL uses. And so they kind of tested that
ooh,
out. Yeah, so they kind of tested it out. Um, and I think we need to do that more because also now I I just thought about how baseball is. I don't know if you know this, but certain conferences allow radio. So the catcher in college, the catcher,
oh,
depending on the
okay.
conferences, has an earpiece, and the pitching coach just says what pitch he wants. He doesn't do the whole, like some schools will do like face signs depending on which one, like which location is touch second, all that stuff. Sometimes they have the tape sign, sometimes they have the number sign where they just go like 3, 4, 2, and then you look down at your wristband and you have it. But the SEC was one of the first conferences, and props to them. The SEC commissioner is amazing, just utterly amazing. And he allowed the baseball to try that one year. Now they do that. So all SEC conference games, you'll see catchers have earpieces and a radio strapped to their back, and the coach just tells them what to call. And I believe the SEC has started to let softball do it as well. So
Ooh,
I don't know if this is going to turn into like a by conference thing because I think now baseball at least has gotten a backing where in the postseason they allow it, because for the first couple years it was the SEC could use it, and then once it got to the NCAA tournament, the SEC teams weren't allowed to use it anymore because it was a
Ooh,
conference thing. So I think learning from that, if we're going to start playing around with this, we just need to go ahead and say everybody use it.
yeah.
Because if we just say, oh, the SEC and the Big Ten allow it,
I
right?
mean,
And then they start using it when it gets to postseason and they're playing non SEC, non Big Ten teams, then they can't use them
yeah,
and they have to go to signals. And that would just be confusing.
yeah. And
So,
it's gonna just put anyone at a disadvantage who's not already using it.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, you might as well just pick it up and do it anyway. But if your conference doesn't allow for it, then your
Yeah.
conference is setting you up for failure.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I think it's gonna have to be an all or nothing thing. I do like that, for the bowl game at least,
Yeah. That's
they
it.
they
That's
tested it out. I think that's what you're gonna have to start doing though, is test it out with bowl games and see how it works. So maybe next year, not
do
only do
every
we have
bowl
the 12
game.
team play. Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Every
Maybe
bowl
you
game, every playoff game,
that's
they
what I
have the
was thinking
microphones.
is
That way,
yeah, I was thinking maybe you test it, national stage, test it with the 12 team playoff and
honestly,
say, here you
I wanna
go.
see what that mayhem looks
Because
like. That
because
would
honestly, because
be
then all your signs throughout the
it
entire
don't
year that
matter.
like
Your coach is just gonna sit
yeah,
over there and go,
exactly, like
all
run
right,
this play.
we're running this play. Okay.
Now you're
Yeah,
gonna
make
see
sure you look
signs
at
if they want
game
to
at first.
audible.
Okay. Okay. Audible. All right.
Well, that's the thing, is that like you jam the system with so many
Like, okay.
with so much time left, so you're gonna have to potentially still use signals for audible. Or a lot of times what the NFL does, I've heard some guys talking about it, is not only do you get the play, you get multiple checks, right? So it's, here's the play we're running. Okay, if it's double high, if it's double high and they're in zone, all right, you're going to do this. If it's man, we're going to check the this. Like there's so many checks in it. And that's partially why the quarterbacks are like, oh, what do we do? Because they look over for the audible, right? In college.
Yeah.
So maybe we like find that nice medium where we're relaying the plays into you.
Mhm.
And then if you need the audible, then we got you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Um, speaking of college football potentially making changes, it looks like our Ohio State Buckeyes are already making changes, which
Oh my gosh.
we've lobbied for
Honestly,
that.
okay. I thought it was kind of funny. So in the last episode, we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about how the special teams coordinator came on and was making
500,
300,000
well, no,
to
he's
start,
making
and
five.
then his
No, he
extension.
made 68K to start as a GA.
Oh,
And then when he became
okay.
coordinator, he made 300K. And then he got a pay raise to 500K.
Okay. So now he is one of the men that is no longer with the team.
No longer
Um,
employed by the Ohio State
yeah,
University.
yeah. Parker Fleming no longer
See
an
ye.
Ohio State Buckeye. Um,
How's it make you
and
feel?
what you heard that they were looking into the safeties coach being moved over?
Yes. So the safeties coach that was employed at Ohio State is no longer with them, and they have hired somebody to replace him as the safeties coach. And the rumor is he might be the safeties coach and special teams coordinator.
Mm.
So not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel
but
like that could be
it
a
is what it
big,
is.
big plate to take care of. But no, I feel like a lot of
I mean,
those
we'll
safeties
see.
are on special teams, so maybe that might get worked
Yeah.
into it. So,
I mean, the
you know,
big thing is we just need a better scheme. I mean, I'm sick and tired
yeah,
of, oh, we're just
fair
gonna fair
catch,
catch
fair
it.
catch, fair
Or like,
catch.
because it's
Oh,
also, I understand fair catching if you're trying to block it. But when we just
mm,
have our normal defense out there, but one defensive lineman comes off the field and a wide receiver goes back to catch the ball, like, what are you doing at that point?
yeah,
You're not like, you are so paranoid that they're going to fake a punt on you that you're not even trying to return it. And then your
yeah.
offense is backed up to start with. And it's just
Plus, like
the
right now,
scheme, the
what
method.
is
Hmm,
the percentage of people going for it and faking it on fourth down and not being at least a little
I,
contested with, just even just trying to block a punt?
I
Like,
don't know.
I feel like that's not a super high percentage that you could, give here, give there, and hey, maybe you could do some of those too when it's like 4th and 2 and or 4th and 1. You know,
I don't
just
know.
just
I
an
mean,
idea, but you know,
and it's also like we're looking at the whole like when you look at it statistically, I know ESPN analytics, there we go.
yeah,
Brain fart today. But ESPN was talking about like the analytics say when it's 4th and 5 or less at this place on the field, you go for it, right? And so
mhm,
we're getting into the whole like people are looking at analytics, but the reality is that most teams are not going to go for it on 4th and 5.
yeah,
4th and 2, 4th and 1, depending on where they are, they might go for it. If they're on your side of the field, probably, unless they have a really good kicker and they're just going to take the points. So I understand from that degree, but if they're in field goal range, they're not punting.
yeah.
So I don't I hopefully new scheme, new mentality, new thought process, and will be better. Now, the other rumor I saw, so those are the only changes as of right now. We talked off air that it looks like a lot more people want the offensive line coach gone as well as the quarterback coach. I'm not opposed to the offensive line coach. I'm not really opposed to the quarterback coach because I believe that he's actually not really like he doesn't have a huge background with quarterbacks.
Mhm.
Um, but definitely, I think the offensive line coach needs to go. What's interesting, I read an article this morning that Ryan Day is reportedly thinking about getting a new offensive coordinator.
Really?
That's what the
He wants to
report
give
said.
up the power?
Well, remember, he took the power from the offensive coordinator. You know who is the offensive coordinator on staff? Ryan Hartline. So we're apparently wanting to downgrade him to wide receiver coach only. So put him back at his old job and get a new offensive coordinator. When the reality is, Brian Hartline was never given the opportunity to show what he could do as the offensive coordinator because Ryan Day never let him call plays this year.
Yeah. So
Like, that is a Ryan Day issue. And I'm sorry, but if he hires an offensive coordinator in order to like technically replace Brian Hartline, I have issue with that because that is
see,
you having the inability to admit that you are wrong.
but maybe Brian Hartline isn't ready to completely take over that role of being an offensive coordinator. You know, that could be
Maybe,
possible. Or maybe they want to just stick the focus on to hey, we just need these wide receivers. We need them all developed. Need 5 Chris
I mean, I think he's
Olaves
doing a
coming out of here.
pretty darn good job.
Oh yeah, I think he's doing a good job, but maybe they want to just keep that his focus. Because I mean, right now, like looking at Ohio State, when I think of Ohio State, I don't think of our run game really anymore. I feel like Zeke was kind of the like last where it was like, oh, our run game
JK,
is
JK,
okay, yeah.
JK Dobbins.
I feel like that's when like it
That was the last
started to
real one.
taper a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, it's been almost pretty much non-existent. And sorry, I have a cat cruising by here. But with the Buckeyes predominantly being a passing team now, like,
But
and
see, okay,
not
and
even
I
really
understand,
a bad passing team because they
but
don't run a like the plays that they run don't open up the field at all. They try to run the same plays down your throat, and then they're
yeah,
like, okay, this isn't working. We got to run. Okay, let's try the same run plays. Okay, this isn't working. What do we do? And
yeah,
it's just like,
and
buddy, you just got to like keep switching it up. And I don't know. I feel like what we're doing right now isn't working. So I like hearing that they're looking potentially. I think that would be
but if he hires an offensive coordinator, then he needs to truly give up the play calling. The
Yes. No,
fact that
I'll 100
he's
percent agree with
still
that. Yeah.
like
If
Brian
he
Hartline's the
tries
offense
to,
coordinator, but I call plays. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. That's
yeah,
complete BS. But in addition, I will rebuke with this. All right. Yes, we like to pass, 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 pass. Clearly, it ain't working. All right. Because I would equate that what Ryan Day has turned this Big Ten football team into is a Pac 12 copycat.
yeah.
He likes
He's
the West Coast. And you know what? The West Coast
it's coming to
is
the Big
0
Ten,
and
baby.
2 against the Big Ten in national title games in the college football playoff era. All right.
Yeah.
Newsflash for anybody that didn't actually pay attention. All right. 10 years, it's done. Now we're going to 12-team playoff. The first ever national championship, Ohio State versus Oregon. Guess what? Ohio State won. Guess who outrushed them? Ohio
Ohio
State.
State.
All right. Big Ten over the Pac 12. Now we're at the close of the 4-team playoff, and you got a Big Ten school in Michigan beating a Pac 12 school in Washington. Ironically, both Pac 12 teams are coming to the Big Ten. But look at the rushing numbers. We just looked at it 300 to 46.
Oh yeah.
If you run the ball, you win games. And I think he has no idea that that's how it actually works because the team that he inherited had J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah. So
And it had a bunch of offensive linemen who are now starting in the NFL with less than 5 years experience in the NFL. He inherited an amazing team, and now he has taken this program and put them on their head because he wants to pass, 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 pass.
but you got to throw a little run in there, Like, oh, hi. Yes, it's okay. Um,
I'm all for the big
like
games
I
downfield,
like
but
the
like
Big 12 like style, but the way he is doing it with how our the team is set up, it's just not working, you know?
it
And
doesn't
I
work.
think
It doesn't work. You know, I'm looking this up.
oh,
National championships by conference. It doesn't work. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I am.
It's
Which
basically like
conference
trying
has
to
the
be Oklahoma. Have all this offense but no defense.
which conference has the most? I mean, I'm pretty sure I
Well, I
know that's
mean,
SEC.
yeah,
I know that
probably.
much.
If it's
This is
not SEC, I'd be honestly pretty shocked.
well, it's just given. Okay, so the SEC was established in 1932 and has 30 national championships, is what this is claiming. The Big Ten, which is established in 1896, now has 26. The ACC, established in 1953. The Big Ten was the first conference, and they're not even first in national championships. What is this? Now I'm getting
Garbage.
upset. The ACC
Garbage.
has 15. The Big 12 has 12. Independents have 12, and the Pac 12 has 10. The Pac 12 pass, 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 pass doesn't work. And I'm tired of people claiming it is. Lincoln Riley goes on record and says the Big Ten's going to have a rude awakening to our speed out west. No, we're not. No, we're not. Because we're going to hit you
Okay,
hard. You're
okay,
going to
okay,
fall
okay,
over.
okay.
Like,
I feel like for some teams, yes. Okay,
well,
looking
yeah, the
looking at
Illinois and the
looking at like
Northwestern.
I think honestly going into like even Penn State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, I think a lot of I think
I'll give
most of
you
them are gonna
Wisconsin and
struggle
Michigan State.
because
I
I
will not give
think
you Penn State. Penn State is too athletic, dude. They are
okay,
too freaking
okay, okay,
athletic.
okay. We can
They're
keep Penn
gonna beat
State.
Ohio State next year.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. But I'm saying like any of the big caliber school, like if you're looking at Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan as the top three essentially in the Big Ten, I don't see a lot of those West Coast teams beating them. I think the Midwest, power football was still going to prevail, but I think anyone else they are going to struggle because I feel like they're not used to that whole play style and they struggle doing what they're doing now. So it's like they're going to have a cakewalk with those teams, but you do have those like three major teams where it's like, okay, you're not really going to be able to walk over. And honestly, I might even throw Maryland in there as a team that it might
I'm glad
put
you
out.
brought them
I'm
up.
sorry, but
I'm
like,
I'm glad you brought them up because I looked up USC's Big Ten schedule for next year, and they are in Ann Arbor, Loss. That's an L. They
Oops,
host Wisconsin. All right. I'm tuning in that game.
that'll be close.
At Minnesota. I give them the edge at Minnesota just because I
Yes.
don't like PJ Fleck. They host Penn State. Give me Nittany Lions all day.
Yep.
At Maryland
Maryland.
is at Maryland
I must say that'll
hosting,
be a close game for sure.
yeah, hosting Rutgers. At Washington, host Nebraska, and at UCLA. So, pretty much home game. But they're not even coming close to winning the Big Ten next year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way.
Ugh.
You know what? Because he wants to talk so much crap about the Pac-12. You know what? Let's look
He's
up all these
right,
teams.
boy. Let's go.
Let's look up all these teams. All right, UCLA. They got Indiana. Oh my God, their schedule is awful. They're at LSU next year as a non-conference game.
Oh my
Why
god.
would you do that? Oh my
We
God.
wanna really just
They
take on the year.
they end
Oh
their
my
season.
god.
They end their season
Why?
with a non-conference game against Fresno State. Who scheduled this for UCLA? Anyway, they got Hawaii.
Huh?
All right. Then they're Indiana, which based on this UCLA team I saw last year, is not a guaranteed win. At LSU, loss. Oregon Ducks, loss.
Loss.
At Penn State, loss.
Loss.
Minnesota, maybe,
Close.
maybe. I'm.
Wait, at Minnesota?
No, it's not. It's not. But
Oh.
they're at Rutgers. Give me
Ooh,
Rutgers on
Rutgers
a
might come
on
in.
a chilly, windy, rainy October 19th. Give me Rutgers.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
At Nebraska, host Iowa, Washington, and USC. They're not going. Oh,
Buddy.
wow, they get to play all the Pac-12 teams. They're still
That's
not going
gonna
to get.
be that's gonna be a tough schedule. Like
Yeah.
hands down. Like I don't think any of the Pac-12 teams coming in have a decent schedule
No,
as
here
far
we
as
go.
like playing in
Oregon,
the Big Ten.
yeah, Oregon, Hawaii, Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan,
Two OSUs?
Maryland,
Wow.
Wisconsin, and Washington. Oregon's not going undefeated. I'd be impressed. I would be
If
thoroughly
they
impressed
did,
with that.
oh,
But I'm going to say probably not going to go. And I also, for the
I think
record, do
Oregon
not
has
think
a
Ohio
decent
State's going to go
chance.
undefeated.
Oh, I don't think so. Unless if, hey, that new offensive coordinator comes in and just overhauls that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
All right.
great, but I don't
And
see that. But I think Oregon has a solid chance with their
I think the
schedule
best.
of being undefeated, especially since wait, quarterback. Oh shit.
They have two
It-
transfer quarterbacks.
oh, okay.
They have Dylan Gabriel and then the UCLA guy.
Okay. So, they're not gonna be on it. They might have a solid chance.
Yeah.
I say
But
they have a
and
better
then
chance than Ohio State.
finally Washington, Weber State, Eastern Michigan, Washington State, Northwestern, Rutgers, Michigan, Iowa, Indiana. Oh, and by the way, they're at Iowa. Indiana, USC, at Penn State, UCLA, and at Oregon. I think Oregon has the best chance
Yeah.
out of those teams.
Honestly,
But
that
I'm sorry, their speed. Guess what? Oregon's the only one that plays like a Big Ten team. They're the only
yeah.
one that's going to have an
Honestly,
actual
I
chance.
wouldn't even say they really necessarily play like a Big Ten team. I just think they split up their run and their pass very well.
Well, I
But
was
I
just saying they're
still
more
say,
physical.
I mean, yeah, but they still also have all that speed, you
Yeah,
know, because, you know,
it'll be interesting.
they
But
fast fuck boy and
circling
my
back
Nike
to
speeds.
Ohio State with all these changes happening. Um, what is one change that you think they need to do? So we already got the safeties coach replaced, the
Is the
special teams
offensive coordinator in
coordinator.
there?
You could choose whatever you want. What change other than the firing of Ryan Day, because we already
Mhm.
said we want that. What change would you make?
So I would probably say, honestly, the offensive coordinator position needs to be filled by a person that would take over the position and not have it taken over by anyone else. Ryan
what if
Day.
your off what if your
Um,
offensive coordinator though is also a quarterbacks coach? I feel like that would be a potential like
I think I
didn't Herman do that? Tom Herman before he went to Houston?
yeah. Well,
I feel like that
I don't think he wasn't like the official offensive coordinator, but he was like the on the field
okay.
guy for
Okay.
a lot of it, and he was in on a lot of the meetings, which I think honestly I didn't even think about that. That would be almost if they don't want to hire anyone or
Or
bring
like
anyone on.
split
I
duties,
think
right?
split duty would be really good, especially if you're bringing in a new offensive coordinator. I think almost splitting that duty with quarterbacks coach would be like the offensive coordinator would take priority and he would be like the lead on it, but have the quarterbacks coach in on everything. So then we don't run into a oh we're playing Missouri, our starting quarterback left.
Hmm.
Um,
We don't know what to do
what do
because
we
we're not
do?
working with. Gotcha. No, no, that would make sense. Like that would honestly that would make sense. I like that thought process. What I would say is I think the change that needs to happen. I think that's a good one. That's a great one by you.
Because
Pointing that out. But
that's
I
I feel like
think
that's our okay. Would you
it
agree
makes
if I
sense.
said, everything else is we already are taking care of the special teams, which that was honestly probably going to be one of mine. That was probably
Hmm.
going to be mine just because I feel like the offensive coordinator role, you can kind of, work around it, have like a split duty or something like that. You don't necessarily
Yeah.
need to, but something needed to change there. But I think where we're losing a lot of our like gains is from special teams. I mean, we call it fair catch pretty much on everything. Now we don't
Yeah.
try to get those extra 5, 10 yards, which a lot of that is, hey, that's getting us into field goal range, or hey,
Yeah.
we're getting a touchdown off this.
No, no, you're
That's
absolutely right.
setting you up for a better offense, which I think would possibly help the offense. So that's why I was kind of going the special teams route as my main thing, but that was kind of already taken care of. But what I was going to ask you is,
Hmm.
with everything going on there, would you agree that the offense is kind of being carried right now by the defense?
Yes, and I think you can still win with defense, and that is
Mm-hmm.
why I would say what you
We've been
need to
in a lot of our
do,
games, right?
yeah, what you need to do is take James Laurinaitis, okay, take him away from being a grad assistant, make him your linebackers coach,
Ooh,
and
okay.
have Jim Knowles, who is currently the defensive coordinator and linebackers coach, have him truly just focus on scheme. Who can we put where? How can we do this? And because I thought the linebackers did an amazing job, and hats off to Jim Knowles and hats off to Lauren Ice because he's working with them. But I just think we would be able to be more flexible with schemes if Jim Knowles could truly just think about what personnel do we want for this scenario
Yeah,
rather than, okay, I also have to get these linebackers ready to go. And if you
yeah,
leave James Laurinaitis in charge of that and make sure that he doesn't leave for the same position somewhere else, you're golden.
yeah. I honestly, yeah, that that would really open up just. I mean, I feel like that's like a small change, but it really could make a huge difference down the line, especially
Yeah,
getting into the big games where it's like, oh, hey, so and so's hurt and so and so's hurt, so we can't run these two. Oh, hey, no, don't even worry about
yeah,
that. We have these guys. Put him here, him here. Okay, we're good.
yeah.
You know that I feel
And I
like,
think it forces better communication between the
yeah,
staff.
and I feel like
So
that's where it's kind of. I don't. I'm not saying this is what's going on, but it almost seems as if Ryan Day is trying to change everything himself. He's trying to do
Yeah,
too much.
he needs to learn to delegate, like
Yes.
truly delegate. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what news we see in the near future about Ohio State coaching changes. If we see in the near future about Michigan and the Spygate and cheating scandal and all that stuff. So we'll see. But what I'm even more excited about, and what we'll probably dive into next week, is the start of NFL playoff football. So the
Brownies.
Brownies are in it, the Packers are in
Eh.
it. So catch us next week with a breakdown of that. Hopefully we'll at least one of us will be happy. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Or it's just gonna be both of us singing, bro. Okay, and then they ran this play, and I don't know why the fuck they did that.
So hey, we'll see what happens, right? So stay tuned for that and see how we're coping after this weekend.
Peace out, guys. Have a good one. Oh my god, I forgot.
Also, I just got breaking news that Nick Saban retired.
What?
I just got CBS breaking news that Nick Saban is retiring. Now I kind of wish that he wanted. I kind of wish they won it all this year, so he could go out like with a swan song. You also realize that in the very first college football playoff, or I guess college football playoff, Alabama lost to the champion, who was a Big Ten team, and then in the very last four-team playoff, Alabama lost to the champion, who was a
Oh,
Big Ten team.
dude, what?
Yeah, we have a
I'm so
chance.
sad.
We have a chance.
We're in it, baby.
That means Nick Saban's not going to be in the college football game.
All right, he definitely. Oh no! Please just have
That's
a.
di- that's
Please have a mode where
disappointing.
I can just switch it and save it.
That's actually disappointing to think about. Oh man,
All right, guys. Well, I'll probably put this in there because what the
why not? Uh,
dude? I'm sad
do
now.
with that
I feel like
information what you will.
he's like a. I don't know. I feel like
The goat,
It's just
yep, he
like
is.
Coach K. What is?
Uh, that okay. I need to go before
All right, guys.
this
Bye.
gets disappointed.
Bye again.
Uh